We are live. Hi, everyone. This is a winner's interview because Jackson here, whom you've seen before on the channel, came first at Adepticon in Wisconsin. Congratulations, Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun, wonderful weekend, and yeah, had a blast with it.
And not only was there a singles tournament at Adepticon this year in Wisconsin, right? There was also a doubles and a recon style event.
Yes, yeah. Thursday was Combat Patrol, Friday was doubles, and then Saturday was the singles event.
And let's start with your Friday. So you arrive at Adepticon. How big was it this year?
Yeah, so the overall event, they originally put people, but they had 10,000 across the weekend, which was really incredible. So like record-breaking numbers of total attendees. And my buddy Joe and I get there on Wednesday night, and Thursday we had the he actually ran the Combat Patrol event. Joe Valice, he ran it. He was the TO, and we had 38 players for Thursday's Combat Patrol. Friday was 38 teams, so 76 people, and
Wow,
then
that's a lot of players. Yeah.
yeah, it was quite cool. And then the singles had 32 players, so it was more of a traditional Swiss style event.
Okay. So actually, the team event was the most well visited of the three.
Yes, Adepticon Doubles is run by the Chicago Dice Club, and they tend to just really dive into the fluff. People come out from all over the country, build crazy awesome tables and crazy awesome themed armies and everything like that. So Doubles is always my favorite event.
It's so cool having a buddy with you all the time and being able to share what you think about the game and sharing that experience with someone you know is really cool as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you did. Let's just first tell us about the recon event.
Sure.
How did that go? Without
Yeah.
diving
So
into like every like we're not doing a
yeah,
play-by-play
you're all good.
recap of everything, but yeah.
So I ran. I'll keep it easy. Ran Hungarians all weekend,
Yep.
which was really fun. Combat Patrol was 500 points, 9 order dice, with a couple of interesting rules. You couldn't take anything higher than HE2.
Yep.
Nothing better than a light tank, and then no forward observers as well as that level. Um, so my list was basically centered around. I had 2 Nimrods and a Panzer
Yeah,
One.
that's so good.
Yep, the Nimrods are an auto include in my
Yeah,
opinion.
they're
They
just
just
so
seem
good.
they just seem so great. And then
Yeah.
for the Combat Patrol, I took because they had a leadership standard in effect, so you had to have a regular lieutenant if you had all regular guys, or a veteran lieutenant if you had all vet guys. So regular lieutenant with 3 rifle squads, um, and that was my Combat Patrol army. Ended up doing pretty well. Faced a mix of a lot of British paratroopers.
Yeah.
Played
They
against
are
two
also
game.
very good, especially I think in low point games where they really shine with the stubborn and the SMGs that they often have and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the Crusader AA tank was the
Ooh.
bane of my existence. It was so scary to play up against because as soon as that thing looks at you, you're done. You had to be really careful with where
Yeah.
things were. Although I thought it was kind of cool because last year I played against 2 Bofors trucks. They used to run Combat Patrol, like a
Yeah.
lot of the soft skin autocannon vehicles, and now it was just like, oh, if you didn't roll up on turn 1 and do well, a rifle could just go up and blow it up.
Yep.
And that's what happened. So I thought it was
Yeah.
kind of funny. My rifle squads ended up taking over some Bofors trucks, which I was really proud of them for. Um,
They need an extra mark on their kill count on the rifles and stuff.
yeah, so both of my wins were against the British paratroopers armies, and then
Yep.
my draw was, interestingly enough, against a Japanese a Japanese list that had 50 regular troops. He just
Wow.
spammed dudes. And for whatever reason, just like the dice didn't work, and it was one center objective mission, and he had one guy left on the objective, and they wrote in the packet that vehicles couldn't contest or capture.
Okay.
And so I was surrounding him with all my vehicles and stuff, but this one dude just wouldn't leave, and so he ended up getting it.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
So
so that was
you
the
you
Combat Patrol
actually
event.
went 2-1 in the combat patrol, placing you in, I guess, the top 5, 6
It was I
places.
got sixth overall because
Yep.
for Combat Patrol and doubles they include your paint score,
Oh,
as well as
nice.
your sportsmanship score, and so I kind of shot myself in the foot because for doubles, my buddy Joe and I built this whole display board, did this whole thing. So I didn't want to take everything out for the display board. So I didn't want to like steal our thunder for doubles, and that cost me points. And so I thought it was kind of interesting. Between, I guess, the top eight, between eighth place and first place, there were a net maybe 8 points
Yeah.
between the record. So there's one guy that went undefeated, and then all of the two 0-1s
Yeah.
were all within that. So if I had got everything out of my box, I probably would have placed a little better. But the record was still very good. So sixth overall was a very respectable
That is
showing.
very, very, very respectable. Yeah, congratulations on that. And then you went into day two, where it was the doubles events for you and Joe.
Yes.
What had Joe brought? You were bringing your Hungarians again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we centered so doubles was interesting. So you couldn't double up on any one platoon.
Okay.
So you both took your rifle platoon. I took an armored one, and then Joe
Yeah.
took an artillery platoon and a heavy weapons platoon.
Yeah.
So our force was like a Fortress Budapest Pocket Defenders
Yeah.
list, and so we all took, I guess, the center of both of our forces was 3 squads of LMG riflemen.
Mm.
Um, Joe then took a Pack 40, a medium howitzer, and then 2 medium mortars.
Yeah.
With like the extra officers and stuff, and then I took my 2 Nimrods, 2 CB-33 tankettes, and I think yeah,
Mm.
that was my doubles list.
How did you guys do?
Again, 2-0-1, which was really really solid. Our first game was against like a combination British and American force with 2 medium tanks and then a ton of high range artillery and a bunch of British commandos.
Yeah.
And so the medium Sherman was the total bane because they killed our Pack 40 turn 1. So like our big AT killer couldn't do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But luckily, that mission was kill points with a bit of a twist. So if you killed an officer, you got a bonus point, and if you killed an entire enemy platoon, you got 3 victory points. And so our whole game, we basically are like, all right, we're gonna stick a bunch of stuff in outflank because I could do outflank, but they couldn't against the Hungarians.
Yeah.
And we went whole hog after their artillery platoon, and luckily the outflank got behind the gun shield and through some different stuff, some lucky mortar hits, we were able to do it in the final turn.
Mm.
Because turn 3 they had us down 5-1. It was a
Ouch.
rough thing to come back, but we ended up winning 9-6 by the end of the game. So that was game 1.
Yeah.
Game 2 we played against folks. Played against Paul and John on Snafu podcast up in Minnesota, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So they had a really interesting dual American army that was like a hodgepodge of different movie sets. So like Band
Wow.
of Brothers, The Pacific, Fury, Hogan's Heroes. Their display board had like every single character had like its own little ring base with the name of the character. Like it just blew me away. They were actually featured on
Wow.
the Adepticon Army Showcase, which like they won best painted like by far. They were super super cool. Very nice players too, but that was
Yeah.
also a
They
very
are very
challenging
good. Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Because that one was table quarters where you and your partner set up in opposite table quarters.
Oh no.
Yeah, so they split
Oh.
us up,
Oh.
and
Oh.
then you deploy all in your table quarters. So Paul put both his Sherman and his Flame Stewart basically within point blank range of all of my Hungarians at the start of the game, and I was like, oh no,
Oh
how is
no.
this going to go? And for some reason, like somehow, I should have been dead to rights by turn 3 because both of the players were going after me. I was the runt of the litter, so they were gonna pick
Yeah.
on me a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and for whatever reason, they just like couldn't swing it. My CV-33s who were taking point blank shots from heavy AT guns kept staying alive, which was great. Nimrods kept staying alive, and my veteran guys refused to fail their flamethrower morale checks. So somehow the dice were with me.
Bold action happens. That's what we say.
Literally. Oh my goodness. So I ended up somehow weathering the storm, and then Joe. They didn't target really Joe at all, and so he kept doing officer snap twos and all sorts of stuff to just medium howitzer blows up regular infantry and a lot of good stuff. So we ended up getting away pretty severely in kill points, which was awesome. So game 2 was a win. And then game 3 was actually against August Tadeo and his brother Joshua, which he is my WTC captain. So that was going to be I knew it was going to be a really intellectually intense game, but it was going to be really fun because Joe apparently has played August or Josh in every single Adepticon prior. So he had an idea of what we were going into, and they had like a ridiculous half-track spam list. I think it was like about, I don't know, there were like 12 armored vehicles.
Wow.
Something crazy like that. Like 12 armored vehicles, a combination of half-tracks, Panzer threes, and Martyrs. And we had 7 objectives on the table that scattered whenever you first tried to capture them. And if you roll a double 6, your opponent gets to move it 12 inches somehow. So it was wild. It was like we were all trying to wait whenever we were trying to wait whenever we were going to originally cap the objective.
Yeah, because as soon as you cap it, then it would scatter away. Yeah.
And that's what happened for a lot of it. So we were really lucky, and August dumped a ton of fire into Joe's veteran commander squad because we did the outflank stuff again. Somehow his lieutenant survived and was able to sprint to contest an objective. And then August turned around and did the same thing. They passed a tank assault check with 3 pins on them, which was wild, and then sprinted the Panzer to go contest another objective. And so it ended up being a draw off of the last game, but it was very, very tight, very interesting.
Brilliant. Those games are the best, actually. Even though you don't win, sometimes just having that very, very tight game where you feel like you're thinking all the time. It's draining, but it's also very, very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, especially at game 3, we were all beat throughout the whole day, but it was loads of fun, and I was glad that we put up such a good showing against 2 very good players. So all in all, doubles, we got 4th overall, which was really fun. We had
and then a 4th, and then you go into the singles on Sunday.
Yes.
3-game single?
3-game single tournament. Yep.
And for that, I think we need to see your list first for what you brought for that.
Sure thing. Yeah, I can share my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was 1250 points, 18 order dice max, 4 platoons max. So that was kind of the restrictions that I was working on. And you'll note immediately an experienced platoon commander. So with veteran guys, so Warlord didn't do nearly as much comp as the doubles or combat patrol did. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try. Let's see what I can do running something similar that I'm running for the WTC. So this is a little bit of a preview. But yeah, so inexperienced platoon commander with a buddy, 4 vet infantry sections with an LMG and fieldcraft, 8 man. My first time using an inexperienced company commander. I've been reading a lot online, saw the John Ross interview where it seemed like everybody who ran a company commander was really thankful that they did. And I ultimately was very too, as you'll get to the breakdown. Vet ATR team and a regular civilian car. So that's the rifle platoon. We then have the classic double Nimrods, 2 CV-33 tankettes with the extra MGs, and then I did a Axis support M41 Polizei tank from the Italian book.
Yeah, that's the Dakar tanks with all the MGs. Yeah.
And then the heavy weapons, inexperienced platoon commander with 2 medium mortars and spotters. And then a vet ATR team, another one. So that was the list.
Seems very, very strong in many respects. You have lots of different parts that can do different things, and all of them are slightly dangerous, right? So yeah, brilliant. And then you go into your games. What's the first thing you encounter?
The first thing I encounter is partisans for my friend John Verticchio. So I thought it was kind of funny with their special rules. Neither of us could outflank at all.
Yep.
So that was very interesting. He had two, I guess ballpark. It was a double up on everything that was good. So two bazooka teams, two howitzer teams, um, a lot of veteran infantry as well, an air observer, and then two submachine and Panzerfaust bombs in trucks.
Yep.
So that was the partisan list, and we played. It was just table quarters, kill points. So turn one, he calls down the strike on my M1441. Ultimately kills it at the top of turn two. So that was an interesting start to the game. Um, but I really I guess doubles in combat patrol really showed me how good the Nimrods were. But the
Yep.
company commander really held everything down. The air observer pinned everything out, but I really didn't miss it because of the
Yep.
company commander with the +4.
Yep.
Um, so just move up. Got some really lucky dice. The CV-33s continue to survive. I would be getting like point blank shots, and he'd fire his bazooka point blank at me. It would bounce, and then I'd turn around and blow up his bazooka team and stuff like that. His SMG bomb came up. Panzerfaust in rear armor, point blank, rolls a 2. So
Mm.
misses. It's like, so it was a little bit of a feels bad moment for John with some of the anti-tank shots.
Yeah.
So my CV is once the anti-tank shots were spent, I was just able to run around and chase little piddly officer teams with my MGs and get them. So I ended up winning I ended up winning, I think, like 9-6 with that.
Yeah. I think partisans are in a rough place right now. Just in what I'm seeing from other tournaments, they're not doing well at the moment. But we shall see what happens later on. And then you go into game two.
Yes, game two was everybody's favorite mission, Top Secret, which has been played at every single Adepticon singles tournament that I've been to, and every single time it has been played, it's been over in 15 minutes, which I will be totally fair to my opponent and to pretty much everybody that I talk to at the tournament. Top Secret is not a tournament mission,
No, it's not.
especially when it was similar table quarters deployment,
Mm.
um, and luckily he didn't have any infiltrators, but I did. So I
Oh
start out on the briefcase, and
no.
luckily you get the first dice pulled, run 12 inches,
Yeah.
and
And it's
uh,
over. Yeah.
yeah, and it was gone. I would highly suggest for doing that mission in the future, make the briefcase like 5 victory points and still count kill points or something like that. So
Yeah,
that way you at least
or
like
just like there are other ways to do it, and at least you should always disallow infiltration in that mission at
yes.
minimum, right?
Yeah, I would agree. There are certainly certain scenarios or certain armies where like if you come up and make it a theme and you say, okay, we're gonna do top secret, let's make sure that there aren't any roads that lead
Yeah.
to it. That was another thing that happened. It was right in
Oh
the smack dab in the
no.
middle of a courtyard. So you could roll up with your car, get out with your AT rifle, and then run away. And
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
it was yeah. So that game was over in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I felt a little bad about it, but got the dub. So that was the quickest game two I've ever played.
Yep.
Um, and then
And
game
then you're
three,
on the top table for the final game, right?
yes. And who do I
Tables.
top tables and who do I play but August?
Ha!
So it was the battle of WTC America Team 4, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Um, we went out to lunch together, so I thought it was funny whenever the pairings came up, August just looks at me, he's like, "Oh, we're doing this again." um,
Sometimes you just have to meet the same people again and again in the fight. It happens to me and my buddy Michael so often. If we go to a tournament, we're pretty much guaranteed that we'll meet each other either in the finals or in the game just before the finals.
mm, gotcha.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
what happened?
so yeah, so August was running a very similar list to what we played in the doubles. So all of the half track spam, two martyrs, heavy autocannon tank, light or heavy autocannon half track, light autocannon half track, light AT half track, you name it, it was in a half track.
Mm.
With a couple of squads of veterans with ARs and a couple of inexperienced squads with ARs.
Yeah.
So this mission was hold until relieved, so center objective
Yeah.
with walking on to the meeting engagement, so walking on first wave on the table. There really was no point to outflank in this mission because it's
No.
just the one objective. Um, and I was really worried because he had all of these half tracks, all of these potential scoring units, and because he has half tracks, he's able to go through rough
Yeah.
ground, even if he can't run through rough
Yeah.
ground. We both had company commanders, so he was doing like the 5 order dice snap 2 with his Germans and all sorts of stuff. It was definitely like another intellectually intense game, but the Nimrods decided to convert, which was really fun. I ended up blowing up. My mortars got some really lucky hits on 6s, hits on 5s, and
Wow.
because they're open topped, I was
Yeah.
able to like whittle down his AT really early.
Yeah.
Um, and once that's done, he doesn't really have any Panzerfaust or any extra stuff. And so like my tanks kind of just had free reign through the rest of the game to try and do stuff. So my CVs run up, do the
Yeah.
point blank shots, and he keeps his Panzerbusch armored car in reserves, rolls on, tries to hit me, rolls a 1. Can't
Oh
pen
my.
can't pen my rear armor. So that's been the theme of the weekend. You cannot kill a CV-33 with any kind of AT
It's
because you'll just roll
invulnerable. Yeah.
ones. Yeah. Um, and
You know,
then
but they're very, very short. So, I mean, you can't get your gun to face that much downwards. I guess something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
Oh man.
it just baffled me how these things could survive
Yeah.
through inconceivable amounts of enemy firepower. And then yeah, I learned the extreme value of an AT rifle in a car. Got up,
Very good.
snagged a rear armor shot, and
Yep.
was able to blow up 2 tanks with that, which was really cool. And then the thing that really saved me here was fieldcraft
Yep.
on my veterans because the objective was in the center of ruins.
Yep.
And
So you can
so
run through that and get to it. Yeah.
so I'm finally whittling him down. He gets some stuff out. So turn 5 and turn 6 are where like things really need to happen perfectly in order for any of us to have
Yeah.
a thing because we're
Yeah.
both just swamping the objective with bodies. Half tracks can't run through rough ground, so they advance to get on the objective. I say, if you advance, I can still charge you.
Yep.
He still only has his inexperienced guys in there, so I run with fieldcraft, full value, able to go get in there. He has to get out with now his inexperienced guys, inexperienced company commander, small 4-man, 5-man teams, and my veterans just beat him down. And so all of the guys are gone. I realize, okay, now he has to start taking leadership checks. And so the whole rest of my turn 6 was putting pins on these half tracks that could contest the objective. And so at the end of the turn, he makes leadership
having
checks
lost
on
the
4s or
company
5s.
commander, so he couldn't get those to move.
Yeah, the commander was gone, so no help. And then final turn, he does the morale checks, and both of them run away, and I have the objective free and clear.
Well, so that just brings us to a couple of questions. Most valuable player, what equipment, what unit was the best thing in for you this
Ooh,
weekend? Was it
across
the
the week.
CV30s?
Across the weekend, it has to be the CV-33s for the sheer fact
Yep.
that I think one of them throughout all 9 games, only one of them died.
Wow.
So out of 18 possible deaths, only one of them died, um, which was really just wild. And yeah, throughout the entire tournament, they were able to skirt around because they're so small. With the 2 pivots on an advance now, that the fixed MG really was never much of a problem. Um, and yeah, they were able to get me kill points where I needed them most, or provide a pin here or there. The CVs were my favorite.
Brilliant. Are there any like thoughts to the madness here? What would be your standard operating procedure? What lessons did you learn that you think you can tell the people at home? Try doing this, and then you'll maybe do better in your next tournament.
I would say the company commander, I severely undervalued him.
Yeah,
I didn't really do the snap too much. I noticed in our game with August, I really like waiting
yeah,
on to the for the final turn to be able to kind of see what my opponent does. And
yeah,
so holding off on that snap 2 until I really need deciding when to pull the punch was very massive. So I'd say learn how to use your company commander. Always stick them in cover if you
Yeah,
can help it. Um, and yeah, I mean,
that's it.
be lucky. Be lucky.
Be lucky. That's not a tactics,
Oh,
Jackson.
no,
You
no,
can't
you're good.
rely on that.
Yeah, positioning of the company commander was absolutely huge
Very
to be
key.
able
Yeah.
to ensure the +4 morale and being able to snap to exactly what I wanted when I
Yeah.
needed it to go off.
Yeah.
My guys could actually run and do it. So that would be the key.
Right. Jackson, thank you so much for coming onto the channel and telling us about winning Adepticon. And I will see you at the WTC very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Bo. See you soon.
Yep. That's it from us today. We will see you all in the next videos. Cheers.